What is going on, my crypto dudes? Now, look, every once in a while, taking a break from crypto trading is a good idea. It gives you some perspective. It also gives you some perspective that eating Taco Bell multiple times a week might not be great for your health, because I have been guilty of that lately. But one way to kick back and enjoy yourself is by playing play to earn crypto games, specifically online poker with crypto. A site I have been using now for the last 8 years is Ignition Poker. I am a regular on here and basically tear things up at the mid-state games on a regular basis. Instead of just talking about them, I would like to go over a recent session I played and managed to get a nice winner. Of course, if you guys would like to learn more about Ignition, there will be some bonus links directly below in the description. Don't forget to tap that like, and let's get into some of these hands. Okay. Also stick around to the end, because you're going to notice that in this session, we kind of ebbed and flowed a little bit. We actually started things off really good, went down a little bit, and then we went back up. But we did get over a double up in this one, playing pretty good. And I kind of combined a bunch of different things in this session, which is why I'm going to be going over it. But the first tip I really want to give you guys is that, you should be playing fewer hands against multiple opponents. You will see a hand here coming up where I had a 5-8 suited, which isn't exactly like a premium hand by any means, but I did get heads up against one other player when there was a 3-bet situation, and I decided to make a call. And that kind of ties me into the next point. When you make a call with against a 3-bet, let's say you got like a 6-8 suited, maybe you've got like an 8-9 suited, something like that. And somebody 3-bets you, you really need to always be putting opponents on ranges of what they could have and deciding if the call is worth it to you or not. Because, as you move up in stakes, and I'm not saying 200 no limit is a hard stake to beat, but, when you're dealing with 3-bets, obviously players are going to be holding hands like ace, king, high pocket pairs, aces, kings, possibly queens, those type of hands. So when you make a call in this spot with a hand like 5-8 suited, you got to know what you're getting into before you make that call. Plus, you're going to need to have a plan in place, right? Now, this was not the greatest board for us because there's an ace out there. We do have runner possibilities with this hand, like straights, backdoor flushes if we get a couple diamonds, but yeah, not exactly the strongest hand. The 6 on the turn was okay. We've got third pair to this board, but we're still behind against a lot of different hands, such as like ace, king, pocket kings, pocket queens, those type of hands. And what was interesting here was he was playing this hand so passively that I decided to, basically put in a bet here to try to steal this one away. He is going to make the call, but what happened next was pretty ridiculous because the river card really made us, I guess you could say. We hit the 8, totally a disguised hand here for us. And I put in a pretty big bet here. It was like $107, which you could look at a couple different ways. It could look like a complete bluff, or I've got it. The thing that I did here, which I really like doing, was I bet this really fast. Typically, in online poker, when an opponent bets really fast, it's usually a sign of bluffing, which is exactly why I did it. So there was a little bit of psychology in this spot. But yeah, I just think this was a good hand for you guys to see, because you have to also just start to realize that you're not always going to win with the big hands like pocket aces or pocket kings, or your ace king suited. Sometimes you're going to have a weird hand like this. And yeah, if you know where you're getting into against one other opponent with a hand like this, I think it can only help your game out over time. Obviously, when you miss badly, sometimes you just want to fold these kind of hands, but this one was just like, this was nice. Plus, this guy is going to really tank on it. But ultimately, he is going to, make the call, which was pretty darn good. So really the first 2 tips I'm going over here, just playing fewer hands against multiple opponents. And, if you are going to call a 3-bet with a hand like I just showed you, just make sure it's against one opponent, not multiple, typically. And then, really putting your opponents on ranges of what they have, which isn't that hard to do, but you get better at it. And obviously, you are gonna, see me do a little bit of bluffing coming up here, but bluffing is a little bit of an art. It takes time to get good at. I recommend bluffing about 10% of the hands you're playing. So if you decide to call and see a flop with 10 hands, maybe bluff one of those and, kind of kick that up to like 20% when you get good at bluffing or a little bit better. Of course, 3-betting is something you're going to need to do as well, especially as you move up in stakes, because 3-betting, what it does is, you get players to call you with not the strongest hands, especially like not as players who aren't as skilled. It builds the pot. It also just kind of helps the equity against your hand to get some of those other opponents out that maybe were in the small or big blind and they just decided to call a small raise. Sometimes when you 3-bet, it'll get people off of hands. Obviously not getting emotional when you're playing, because you're not going to win every single time you play. It's part of the game. And that takes a long time to get good at, but not getting emotional is super important. And playing less tables is also very important for focus when you're playing 200 no limit poker online. The truth is, if you're trying to make, like, I've done this before. Let's say you want to make like a small number. We'll go with like $2,000 a month playing online poker. Really, you don't need to be playing more than 2 tables a time at 200 no limit to hit that number, right? And when you're playing less tables, it just allows you to do a lot of things more effectively. Like, you can bluff more effectively because you're actually paying attention to what your opponents are doing. Are they hesitating? Are they quick calling you? Do they have the check fold button on and they're just going to fold anyways? It's like these little details you're not going to be able to pick up on if you're playing 3, 4, 5, 6 tables at a time. It's also impossible. You also have to understand that poker flows. When you're in a poker session, money is constantly moving around and your stack's going to go up and down. Eventually, when you're up like double what you've bought into, so if you bought in for $200 and you double up to $400, sometimes quitting the game or just quitting for the day or a few hours is a good play, because doubling your money is never a bad thing, guys, and it really adds up over time. You don't need to get greedy and just kind of like sit there all day. You can take the win and just take it. You just don't have to force it, and you don't want to be forcing action by playing too long or just playing more hands than you should. Anyways, I know I'm kind of doing a lot here, talking about a lot, but like there is a lot of nuance to online poker. But really, the more you play, the better you get, and you kind of just stack these skills on top of each other over time. And yeah, of course, though, if you guys have any questions, comments, things like that, feel free to message me below. I'm always posting, and really, the goal here is to just kind of help you guys become better, open your game up, make more money, and obviously have fun doing it. Really, the only thing that I wish I could have more time for, and I say this all the time, is just playing some of those bigger tournaments, on the weekends. Something that I'm trying to find the time to do, but cash games are kind of just like, they're easier because you can kind of get in and out. You can play for like 45 minutes or a couple hours and then just kind of quit. Tournaments, if you run deep, the problem is you're going to be playing for like 6 to 8 hours if it's like a pretty big buy-in tournament and there's a lot of players in it. You know what I'm saying? So tournaments do take longer. Plus, there's a lot more variance. Really, you just need to stick to the cash games because that's what's going to be the most consistent thing for, making money. Tournaments, you can play in a lot of them and not make a final table or really get a payday. It's the reality of it. All right, but hope you guys are still sticking with me because we got some other good hands to go over here. All right, so we had a 7-10 suited, and honestly, guys, I did my best to extract as much value out of this hand as I could. I really did. All right, so we hit 2 pair, and of course, it's never easy because there's so many draws, best case scenario is we hit a 7, I would say, on the turn. 10 would be good too, but I'd rather take the 7, to be honest with you. And that's exactly what happened here. So I was kind of just licking my lips like, oh yes, we just hit that 7. And now I was just hoping somebody would bet. And we do have a player who's going to bet here. And I did not raise. I did not kick this up at all. I just wanted to, slow play it, hoping that maybe somebody has a flush or kind of like a weird straight or a pair of sevens too, which would be, kind of good. But I just made the call, hoping this guy would just bluff it off on the river. Just looking for like a low card here, like a deuce or like a four of spades maybe. Hard to know if another spade was going to kill the action or not, but we had a deuce, and the guy who bet unfortunately checked it, and I was really hoping he was going to rep another big bet here. He didn't. So then I tried to put in the right sizing. I didn't go too heavy here. I was really just hoping somebody had something to make a call. And I don't think there was anything wrong with this. Unfortunately, we had a couple guys who probably missed draws, or maybe that guy was bluffing. Who really knows? And a little bit frustrating. Okay, now I had a 7-5 suited here, and this was I just like playing 7-5 suited. I don't know what it is. I prefer it to be in spades for whatever reason, but like it doesn't matter. If it's diamonds or clubs, I'm still going to play it. Anyways, I did, and the flop wasn't, again, the greatest, but we have a pair of fives, okay? Still behind to a lot of hands here, especially against two other players. So, obviously this is almost like check fold or just play it cautiously. I let it go to the turn here, and I think we checked it to the turn. I don't think anybody bet. So we get to see a free card, I believe. Okay, which was an 8. Definitely feels like somebody could have a pair of jacks here. Somebody might have a pair of kings. Hard to really say for sure. But the fact that we kind of like checked it all the way down to the river, and I don't think any flushes got there or straights, really. I mean, because we've got the 7, so a straight's less likely. And when this guy bet out, I kicked it up to like $30, okay? And I waited a little bit before I did this. So, for me, it's just way less likely he's got a straight because I've got the 7. Plus, I just felt like he was too weak to make this call. And there you go, guys. So, like, bluffing, it is a bit of an art form. You get better at it. And I just thought in that spot that was a good bluff. And, we took down. All right, next here we had an ace-king. Now, I just decided to smooth call here. We were second to act. We still had, 4 other players behind us. So, I could have 3-bet this. I didn't. I just kind of like slow played the ace-king, and, we took it to the flop. And actually slow playing this hand probably worked out in my favor because I think we're going to extract a good amount of money off this hand just by playing it the way we did. So we hit a pair of aces, 10 out there, so really nothing to be afraid of. Turn card was good because it gave us a top 2 pair, and we would only be really losing some sets, and jack queen just seems like something that's just unlikely. I think he checked it here, and I think I bet. But I definitely extracted, I think, as much value as I could have out of this. But anyways, just to kind of like bring this all home for you guys, really just crushing these $200 cash games, it's not as hard as a lot of people think. If you're putting in the work, getting better, doing all the things that I talked about earlier in the video, and getting to the point of making a couple $1,000s or more per month doing this, it's really not that hard, guys. Plus, it can be fun. Anyways, hope you enjoyed another one here. Please subscribe for more poker content. We got some good stuff coming out this week, a little bit of a mix of 500 no limit and 200 no limit. Get on our newsletter. We send out 1 email a week, like I said, on hand analysis, tips to make more money at the tables, all that good stuff. As always, guys, thanks for watching this, and we'll see y'all in the next poker video.